Eric Bolling of Fox News is a huge supporter of the police establishment, and so naturally he did not take kindly when a student art exhibit visualized police brutality in a very bold and horrific fashion. Let's watch.
Check out Westfield, New Jersey High School, one of the art exhibits they have there. Now, you can't really see it, but if we zoom in on a couple of the pictures, this is an art exhibit called Law Enforcement Police Brutality. Now, a friend of mine, a detective from Livingston Police Department, emailed me this. He said the law enforcement community across the country is outraged at this. You know, I get the idea of free speech, but hey, teachers at Westfield, would you do it? Would you put up an art exhibit showing teachers abusing students? I don't think you do it, nor should you have done that. I'd like to see that thing taken down.
So he says there, I get the idea of free speech, but. So we're going to show you a slightly different opinion he had when it came to drawing Muhammad, and then I want to have a more general conversation about what free speech actually is and what supporting free speech actually is. But first, here is his hypocrisy.
It's been quite a week for the Constitution when a provocateur flicked her finger on the ear of radical Muslims, radical Muslimhood, whether it's a cartoon contest that offends radical Islamics or a flag burning offends patriots or a sculpture that offends Christians. It's speech, it's expression, and it's protected under the First Amendment. Progressives like Larry Wilmore push back on the free speech argument, suggesting drawing a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad goes too far. They say it becomes hate speech or fighting words. They're dead wrong. Free speech is protected no matter how inciting it may be. We're becoming too politically correct. We worry that offending Muslims somehow overrides our own constitutional rights. Remember, over 1 million American men and women have died defending those rights. We need to stop worrying how the rest of the world feels about us. We should make the rest of the world worry how we feel about them, and that includes radical Islam. And just in case they don't get the free speech argument, may I suggest they not test our resolve lest they find themselves on the business end of an American Second Amendment right.
Yes, they should respect our opinions, and if they don't, I don't like that opinion, so I'll shoot you.
No, it's like that old saying, you know, I might not agree with your opinion, but I certainly will shoot you
if you hold a different
if you have a different one.
Yes.
Right? Isn't that how it goes?
Yeah, so look, that's ridiculous, and I know that there are probably some commenters who are going to attempt to show that his potential hypocrisy here that I'm going to point out, that he thinks that you should not have a problem with the Muhammad one, but you should actually shut down the student art exhibit. His hypocrisy is not that he's against one and not the other, it's that he thinks one should be shut down and not the other. And some people are probably going to say, well, John, I think that you're hypocritical because you said recently on the show that you don't want people necessarily in all cases to draw the Prophet Muhammad. And you will say that that is me being hypocritical on free speech, but I would like a chance to explain why I think that you are 100% wrong. First of all, we're not in third grade anymore. Free speech does not mean what every child thought it meant. It does not mean that in every context you can run around saying whatever you want and everyone else has to smile at you as a result of it. Free speech very specifically means that originally the federal government, and then later on after other amendments of the Constitution, state and local governments could not make laws abridging your speech. It does not mean that everyone else has an obligation to provide you a forum for your speech or that they have to applaud when you provide it. That is not at all what it means. Those are totally different things. And supporting free speech does not mean you have to like and encourage all speech. You support free speech, or if we're talking about not the federal government, we're talking about something like whether someone should be allowed to do an art exhibit or whether it should be funded. You support it if you think it should be allowed to happen. You do not need to want it to happen or think it's a great idea to support it. Those are totally different things. And when it comes to the Muhammad art exhibit, I think it should be allowed to happen. I support their free expression. I support their speech. But I don't have to like it. I don't have to think it's a great idea. And if you think that you have to support all speech and that you think you're internally consistent in a way that you assume that I am not, blackface. Do you want everyone to do blackface? I think you should be legally allowed to put on blackface. Don't think it's a good idea. Think it's really offensive. I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to see it done around me. But that does not mean that I'm not supporting free speech because it should be legally allowed but not encouraged. It's ridiculous to say that you support all free speech and that you clap for it and you love it. If you've ever watched a video of us where we criticize Fox News, under your argument, you don't support free speech because we're mocking what they say.
Yeah, so when it comes to speech, there are two different elements at hand, right? So there's the government having some sort of impact on speech, and the government can't have an impact on either types of speech that were discussed in this story, whether it's Prophet Muhammad being drawn in a cartoon or the images of police brutality. But when it comes to the court of public opinion, that's a whole different ball game. And so someone could legally practice speech. Like, I always give the example of the KKK. The KKK can say whatever hateful thing they want to say about groups of people, and I don't agree with it, but I will literally fight to make sure they have the right to say those things.
Yes.
And so those are two, it's very nuanced. It's a difficult thing to grasp in some cases. Again, I don't agree with the KKK, but I don't want to stop their freedom of speech, because that means that it's a slippery slope. And if you have some sort of political speech that people disagree with, you shouldn't have the government come in and shut it down. So in this case, first of all, let me just make a comment about the images of police brutality. What was wrong with them? They were actually very accurate. Yeah. Okay, so it's political speech that Bolling didn't agree with, so he wants to shut it down. What does that mean?
He said that. He said it. It shouldn't happen.
You should shut it down. Do you mean that you want the public employees, meaning teachers and administrators, who obviously are paid by taxpayers, they're technically government employees, right?
Yes.
You want them to shut down this speech?
Yes.
You want them to violate the First Amendment, the same amendment that you were very much supportive of when the Muslim cartoons were being drawn and that terrible shooting happened in Texas. I think those cartoons were totally fine. I don't have a problem with them. They should be able to do it. And I think that these images of police brutality were completely fine. You have to stay consistent on this issue, not use the First Amendment as something that supports your agenda.
Yeah.
So what?
Exactly.
Well, that's I'm good to hear you say that. A lot of people were emailing me and tweeting at me that the TYT panel wasn't against supporting the drawing of the Muhammad cartoon, and I just was like, there's no way that can be. So yeah, I think we're all on the same page. I think what should really insult Muslims is not the drawing of the cartoon Muhammad, but that some stupid motherfuckers took the bait from this publicity stunt that Pam Geller was pulling and went down there. You know, it's like, why do you give a shit? And why you elevate Pam Geller?
You make her seem right.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So, but getting back to Eric, of course he's completely inconsistent. Of course he doesn't know. And all that is bootlicking to power. That's all that is, and that's what they do.
To the police in this case.
The police in this case, again, completely out of step with public sentiment, completely out of step with the zeitgeist of the day. We can't even let kids, by the way, now grammar school kids get to see how screwed up policing is in America, and the culture that they're even expressing it in their artwork, and Eric Bolling is so out of touch, he wants to shut down students.
Yeah.
He's
the ultimate art critic.
Yeah, very, very much.
Yeah, and so again, he is hypocritical, not because he likes one and doesn't like the other. It's because he wants one to be legally allowed and wants the other to be shut down.
Not that he disagrees with it. It would be like me saying, "Oh God, I hate him so much for being for the death penalty. I'm going to kill him."
Exactly.
You know.
Yes, which a lot of people actually are like.
Yes.
Yes, and in a general sense, you support free speech if you think people should be legally allowed to express their opinions, not if you equally support all opinions. That has absolutely nothing to do with it.